What's up, Steemit? Brian Phobos here. We're here for another pool meeting, and today I want to talk about a couple potential competitors that have had a little bit of time to kind of go a little further in their development. But there's yours, Network and Synereo, and this kind of popped up like a year ago, where it was like people were upset about Steemit, and they were kind of acting like, well, there's these new ones that are coming on the forefront. And I remember thinking in my head, well, that's cool. I'll post on every platform, you know. I'll post on Steemit, I'll post on yours network, I'll post on Synereo. So a few updates with those, and I did a post the other day about Synereo. So they released their beta for what they're calling WildSpark. It was called Curator, or Curator, for like curation. And they changed the name to WildSpark. But it didn't make any sense because, okay, like I signed up to be an alpha tester, never got an email. Most people didn't. I don't know anybody on Steemit who was an alpha, like an alpha tester for that product, which is weird to me because wouldn't you want somebody who's on some other blockchain-based social network, you know, that can, you know, provide input of what didn't work on Steemit or whatever. But it was like nobody was an alpha tester, never got an email. So I signed up like a few days back, probably a week now, to become a beta tester because the beta was going to be like being launched, and everything that I looked into the thing, it didn't make a lot of sense. Like there was no content creation platform for it, but I've been waiting on an email to be invited to the beta test, and they're supposed to give you like 10 like Synereo amps, you know, to start testing with and all that kind of stuff. But I've never got an email or anything. So I guess there were a couple people that did get let in. I joined like a Facebook group, and they were saying like they were, you know, very early on and stuff, and they are testing it. But here was the thing, I got a little bit of information from them. They're saying, well, the only like content you can amp up is on YouTube. There's no like Synereo platform where you can like have your own content and then drive traffic to it. It doesn't make sense. It's almost like putting the wagon before the horse. You know, wouldn't you want like a content creation platform? That makes sense. Like you have a content creation platform, people create content on there, and then use this WildSpark thing to drive content, to drive like traffic to it. But it's like they're like, well, you can tip these people on YouTube basically with this WildSpark in this, you know, digital currency called amps. And to me, and they're saying, well, that's the first part of it, and then eventually you'll be able to use Curator or WildSpark on these other platforms besides YouTube, and then eventually there will be their own platform, the Synereo platform. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know, to tell you the truth, I'm disappointed. And then the fact that it's almost like communication is terrible. Like I'm not getting any emails, you know, to join the beta testing, any of that kind of stuff. So I don't know, not impressed whatsoever with that. So on to yours network. So what yours network was supposed to be was basically kind of like Steemit. This was my perception of it. It was going to be basically like Steemit, but you're going to get tipped in Bitcoin. And to me, it was like, well, they're going to have to do it. It was going to be a thing where it's like, well, people put the content on the platform, and then you're on there with your Bitcoin and say, yeah, I really like that. And then you're going to actively like tip some of your Bitcoin to it. But it's like, well, how much are you going to tip? You know, really, like, see, the thing on Steemit, the ingenious thing about it is it doesn't cost you anything directly to upvote something. Now you could say, well, if I upvote that person, it takes away from my voting power, and so therefore I can't pay myself as much. You know, so it's a little bit of a roundabout way. Like, it still costs money to operate the platform, but it's kind of like a hidden cost. So you don't think about like upvoting people as much. Well, some people are really stingy, but that's another topic. So back to yours network. Basically, they couldn't do it on the Bitcoin network, is what ended up happening. They had to switch to the Litecoin network because the transaction fees got way too big on the Bitcoin network, to where if you're going to do a microtransaction of, let's say, 10 or 20 cents, you couldn't do it on the Bitcoin network because it costs $1 or so for a transaction fee to send anything. So they switched to Litecoin, and it almost seems like they're not using the Lightning Network, but they're doing some kind of layer 2 stuff to make the transaction more instantaneous. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing that. But basically, when you go, if you go to yours.org, you'll see like articles that you can click on, but you can't see it. It would be like if you went to Steemit and then you can't see the article unless you pay like 10 cents or you pay 15 cents. And in my mind, it's like, in this world, like we've gotten so used to just like everything's free, and you watch stuff for free on YouTube or seemingly free. Might have to watch an ad. On these things like Medium, there's these people posting this super detailed stuff. I don't know why they're on Medium and not on Steemit. I have no clue. But they're posting super detailed blog posts, people posting stuff on Reddit that's pretty detailed, people posting on Steemit. You can learn a ton from Steemit, and those people are getting paid. But as a reader, you don't have to pay, and so not to be able to see it until you pay, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't see it. And then it gets relegated to such like a small amount. Like, okay, well, is that post you did for 5 hours worth 10 cents? Because maybe somebody's willing to pay that. Maybe they're willing to pay a quarter. But your time's probably worth more than that. So, and then anybody on yours network, why wouldn't they just spend their time and post on Steemit? It doesn't make sense. So, yours network, I mean, it's honestly, from everything that I've seen, because they got like the alpha out now, and it's working on the Litecoin network, it's not going to work. It's not something I think anybody can really make money out of. And then Synereo, to tell you the truth, looks like a total disappointment. There's no content creation platform, and that's what I thought the whole thing was to begin with. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of update. I'm not trying to talk smack about those. I'm not trying to act like, well, Steemit is the end-all be-all and all that stuff like that. We've worked through a lot of problems on Steemit, and I think the community's heading in the right direction. And I just think that these other networks... Oh, and one other thing I wanted to say, too, because there were some that were going to come out. There were going to be some like content creation platforms that were going to come out on Ethereum. Like there were going to be applications on Ethereum. But then it's just like, well, how's that going to work? Ethereum was billed as being able to do like 14 or 15 transactions per second. But then they're finding out that it looks like maybe that's more closer to 4 or 5 transactions per second with some of the recent issues with some of the ICOs. And that's not enough. The graphene blockchain can do 100,000 transactions per second. Bitcoin can do 7. Ethereum, let's just pretend it can do 15. It's not enough. So, like a thing like Steemit would not be able to run on Ethereum, but it runs on these graphene blockchains. It would run on something like EOS that's coming out. It runs on its own thing, so it's BitShares, Steem blockchain, EOS, all the graphene technology. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I think that these other networks, these other content creation platforms are way behind the 8 ball. I don't see them coming out anytime soon or anything that's going to make any sense. So thanks for coming to the pool meeting. See you guys.